My beloved soul, pause for a moment and feel this message, because it did not find you by chance. It found you because your heart has been waiting for a sign, not a promise, not a fantasy, but a reminder that real love still exists and that you are worthy of receiving it. And Archangel Michael says this is not about someone chasing you, it is about someone finally finding the courage to stand in their truth and speak from their heart. And when a soul chooses to confess love openly, it is not to impress the world, it is to honor the connection that changed them. And this message is here to awaken your heart to what is possible when two souls stop hiding and start believing. And you may feel a quiet stirring inside you right now, a sense of warmth or hope, because somewhere within you there is a part that still believes in love that is honest, gentle, and real. And God says that part of you has been protected through every heartbreak, every disappointment, every moment you doubted your worth, because you were never meant to close your heart forever. You were meant to grow through what hurt you and rise stronger, wiser, and more open. And now you are stepping into a season where love is no longer something you chase, it is something that meets you when you are ready to receive it. And this readiness begins within, when you choose to love yourself with the same depth you long to receive from another, because self-love is not selfish, it is the foundation of every healthy connection. And you are learning that your worth does not come from being chosen, it comes from knowing you deserve to be cherished and respected. And as you embrace this truth, your energy shifts, your presence changes, and the people you attract begin to reflect the love you hold for yourself. And this is how soul connections form, not through desperation but through alignment. And Archangel Michael says alignment is when your heart and your truth walk together, when you no longer hide who you are or what you feel. And this courage is what allows love to appear in ways that surprise you, because love often arrives when you least expect it, but when you are most ready to recognize it. And you are becoming ready now, because you are no longer holding on to the past, you are releasing it with gratitude for the lessons it taught you, and making space for something new, something genuine, something that feels like home. And this message is not promising a specific moment or person, it is reminding you that love is closer than you think, because it begins with how you see yourself. And when you see yourself with compassion and respect, you invite others to do the same. And this is the energy that draws soul connections into your life. And God says you are worthy of a love that is brave, that speaks openly, that honors you in public and in private. And this worthiness has always been yours, even when you forgot, and now you are remembering. And as you remember, your heart opens gently, not with fear but with hope, because you understand that love is not about perfection, it is about presence, not about control, but about trust, not about possession, but about partnership. And you are ready for a partnership that supports your growth, that respects your boundaries, that celebrates your light, and stands with you through change. And this readiness is transforming your life, because you are no longer waiting to be chosen, you are choosing yourself. And in choosing yourself, you become magnetic to the love that is meant for you. And Archangel Michael says this is your season to believe again, not in fantasy but in possibility, not in illusion but in authenticity, not in fear but in faith. And this faith is guiding you toward experiences that align with your heart and your highest good. And as you move forward, remember that love does not rush, it arrives with purpose. And when it comes, you will recognize it not by how fast it moves but by how safe it feels. And this safety is the true miracle of love, because it allows you to be seen, heard, and valued exactly as Open your heart to the idea that love is still possible. You may feel a mix of excitement and hesitation because the past taught you to be careful and the future is asking you to be brave, and Archangel Michael says both can exist together. You can protect your heart and still allow it to feel. You can honor your experiences without letting them define your expectations, and this balance is the key to receiving love that is healthy, honest, and lasting, because love that is meant for you will not repeat old patterns. It will create new ones built on trust, respect, and emotional safety. And you are learning now that your worth is not measured by how much you give or how much you sacrifice. It is measured by how deeply you honor yourself, and this honoring is changing the way you connect with others, because you are no longer trying to earn love. You are allowing it to meet you where you are, and this shift feels gentle yet powerful because it frees you from the fear of not being enough and replaces it with the confidence that you are already whole. And when you feel whole, you attract relationships that complement rather than complete you, and this is the kind of connection your soul has been preparing for, one that grows with you, that listens to you, that stands beside you in honesty and vulnerability. And God says vulnerability is not weakness, it is the courage to be seen, and when two hearts choose to be seen, the bond becomes unbreakable, not because it is perfect but because it is real. And you are stepping into a space where real connections can flourish, because you are no longer hiding behind masks or walls. You are showing up as yourself and trusting that the right person will recognize your light and meet it with their own. And this mutual recognition is what creates a soul connection, because it is not based on fantasy but on shared values, shared growth, and shared respect. And as you continue this journey, remember that love unfolds in divine timing, and your heart is being guided toward. Beloved soul, you have walked a long road to reach this place, and even if no one else knows the battles you fought, your heart remembers every silent tear, every unanswered prayer, every night you wondered if love would ever feel safe again. And Archangel Michael says none of those moments were wasted, because each one softened your spirit, strengthened your wisdom, and prepared you for a love that will meet you in truth, not illusion. And now you are beginning to understand that love is not something you chase or prove yourself worthy of. It is something that flows toward you when your heart is aligned with who you truly are, and this alignment is happening now because you are no longer holding on to what broke you. You are releasing it with compassion for yourself and gratitude for the lessons it taught you, and this release is creating space for a new energy to enter your life, an energy of hope, clarity, and gentle courage. And God says this courage is not loud, it does not demand attention, it whispers quietly inside you, reminding you that you deserve more than temporary affection. You deserve a connection that honors your soul. And as you listen to this whisper, your heart begins to open again, not recklessly but intentionally, because you now understand that vulnerability is not about giving everything away, it is about sharing your truth with someone who respects it. And this understanding is transforming the way you see relationships, because you are no longer seeking someone to rescue you are seeking someone to walk beside you, and this partnership is built on mutual growth, not dependency, on shared values, not fear. And you are ready for this kind of love because you have learned to stand on your own with grace and confidence, and this independence is not a wall, it is a foundation that allows you to connect without losing yourself. And Archangel Michael says when you stop searching for someone to complete you, you attract someone who complements you, and this is the energy you are. radiating now an energy of wholeness and self-respect that draws in experiences that reflect your inner peace. And as this energy grows, you may notice that your expectations are changing, your standards are rising, and your heart feels calmer because you are no longer settling for less than you deserve. And this is not arrogance, it is self-love, and self-love is the root of every healthy connection. This clarity is what you have been preparing for through every lesson and every moment of growth. And now, as you stand in this new awareness, remember that your heart is resilient, your spirit is strong, and your journey is unfolding with purpose. And the love you seek is seeking you too, not in desperation but in alignment. And when the time is right, your paths will cross, and you will recognize each other not by words but by the peace you feel when you are together. And this peace will remind you that love is not something to fear, it is something to trust, and this trust will guide you forward into a future filled with hope, connection, and joy, because you are ready now and your heart knows it. That comes in every journey when your heart finally realizes that it is no longer broken, it is simply becoming. And Archangel Michael says this moment is sacred because it marks the shift from surviving to living, from hoping to trusting, from waiting to allowing. And you are standing in this moment now, whether you fully see it or not, because your spirit feels lighter, your thoughts are softer, and your heart is learning to breathe again. And this breath is not just air, it is faith returning slowly, gently into the spaces where doubt once lived. And you may not notice it at first, but you are changing the way you look at love, the way you speak to yourself, and the way you honor your needs. And this change is creating a new frequency around you, one that attracts honesty, warmth, and mutual respect, because you are no longer vibrating with fear of being left, you are vibrating with confidence in who you are. And this confidence is not loud, it is calm. It is steady, it is rooted in self-acceptance. And God says self-acceptance is the doorway to every blessing, because when you accept yourself, you stop chasing approval and start choosing alignment. And this alignment is guiding you toward relationships that feel safe, supportive, and real. And as you move forward, you will notice that you no longer cling to what feels uncertain, you step away from what does not honor you, and you welcome what feels peaceful. And this is your heart remembering what love truly feels like, not intensity, not chaos, not confusion, but presence, trust, and ease. And this remembrance is healing old wounds, because you are learning that love does not have to hurt to be real, it does not have to be dramatic to be meaningful, it does not have to be complicated to be deep. And you are releasing the belief that love is something you must earn through sacrifice, because you are worthy simply by being. And this truth is transforming your inner world, because you are finally allowing yourself to receive without guilt, without fear, without. There comes a time in every journey when your heart no longer searches outside for what it has finally learned to give itself. And Archangel Michael says this is the moment when love begins to feel like home, not because another person completes you, but because you are now complete within and ready to share your life with someone who honors your truth. And this readiness is not rushed, it is gentle, it is steady, it is rooted in the wisdom you gained through every challenge you faced and every lesson you embraced. And you may notice now that your expectations are clearer, your boundaries are stronger, and your heart is more peaceful, because you are no longer afraid of being alone, you are simply open to connection. And this openness is powerful because it allows love to arrive without pressure, without fear, without the need to prove anything. And God says this is the kind of love that lasts, because it grows from trust and mutual respect, not from desperation or fantasy. And you are learning to trust yourself to recognize what is right for you, to walk away from what does not align, and to remain patient when the timing is not yet clear. And this patience is not waiting, it is preparation, because you are becoming the person who can receive the love you desire. And as you become this person, your life begins to reflect your inner peace through meaningful connection, supportive relationships, and moments of joy that feel authentic. And you are discovering that love is not just something you feel, it is something you live through kindness, compassion, and honesty. And this way of living is drawing in experiences that mirror your growth. And Archangel Michael says you are protected and guided as you continue this journey, and everything you are becoming is leading you toward a love that feels safe, true, and deeply fulfilling. And your heart knows this because it is no longer searching, it is welcoming. And this is the miracle of self-love transforming into shared love, and your story is only beginning. You walk deeper into this new chapter of your life. You are finally beginning to understand that everything you once cried about, everything you once begged the universe to fix, and every moment you felt invisible was not meant to break you but to prepare you for the version of yourself that can now stand in truth and choose love from a place of strength instead of fear. And Archangel Michael says this transformation is sacred because it is not loud or dramatic, it is quiet and steady like a sunrise that changes the world without asking for attention. And you may not even realize how much you have grown, because growth often feels like simple breathing, like learning to rest without guilt, like learning to say no without fear, like learning to trust your heart again after it has been hurt. And this is exactly what you are doing. You are learning to trust yourself, to choose what feels safe, to release what feels heavy, and to believe that love does not have to hurt to be real. And as you embrace this truth, your energy is changing and the world around you is responding differently, because you are no longer sending out the signal of lack or longing, you are sending out the signal of wholeness and peace. And this is what draws true connections into your life, not people who drain you or confuse you, but people who meet you with honesty, warmth, and respect. And you are realizing now that love is not meant to be chaotic or painful, it is meant to feel calm, supportive, and healing, like a place where your soul can finally rest. And this realization is freeing you from old stories and old expectations, because you no longer need to be chosen, you are choosing yourself, and in doing so you are becoming magnetic to the love that is meant for you. And God says this love will not rush you or pressure you, it will move at the pace of trust and mutual understanding. And when it arrives, you will not question its presence, you will feel it in the way your heart softens, in the way your mind quiets, and in the way, beloved soul, there is something sacred about the way you have survived the nights when your heart felt heavy and the world felt distant, because even when you were tired, even when you wanted to give up, something inside you whispered softly that your story was not over. And Archangel Michael says that whisper was your soul remembering the promise it made before you were ever born, the promise to grow, to heal, and to love again. And you may not have understood that promise when life felt unfair or when love seemed to walk away from you, but now you are beginning to feel its truth, because you are still here, still breathing, still dreaming, and still open to the possibility that something beautiful is waiting for you. And this endurance is not weakness, it is strength in its purest form, because it means your heart refused to close even when it had every reason to. And you are now standing at a moment where the pain that once defined you is becoming the wisdom that guides you. And this shift is changing everything about the way you see yourself, the way you see love, and the way you see the future, because you are no longer defined by what you lost, you are defined by what you learned, and what you learned is that love is not something that disappears forever, it simply changes form until you are ready to receive it again. And God says readiness is not about having no fear, it is about choosing hope even when fear still exists, and you are choosing hope. Now, even if your voice shakes, even if your heart hesitates, and this choice is opening doors that once felt locked, because your energy is no longer trapped in the past, it is moving toward the future with courage and grace, and as you walk forward you are discovering that your worth was never tied to someone else's ability to stay. Your worth has always lived inside you. Someone else's ability to stay. Your worth has